All right, so the mic guy, Alex, just told me, he's like, this should be nothing for you. You ran across America. So thank you for that, Alex. All right, so I've never been the smartest in a room. I've never been the fastest. Never been the strongest. And like Ryan Gosling, I've never been the best looking. That one is still up for debate. One thing I have been all right at is taking one step towards a dream, something that I have inside me, a gut feeling that I should go follow something, and just taking one step. And that led me to a journey in 2019 of running 3,311 miles across this country. Now, I've told this, as you can imagine, over the last couple of years to a bit of people, and their first reaction is always something like this. Like Forrest Gump? Yes, like Forrest Gump. I didn't meet Jenny, though. I didn't, unfortunately, fall in love with Jenny. But anyways, when I was younger, my sport was soccer. And believe it or not, I hated running. I really hated running. And I remember one year at the end of the season's party, I overheard a parent or someone else saying, I heard that next season they're going to make you run a lot more. And I told my parents that night, I said, I'm done with this. I quit. I don't want to play soccer anymore. I hated running. Fast forward to 2018, still hated running, but I was living in Los Angeles, and one could say I was living the life, you know. I would go to these mansion parties. I remember one party, I saw Wiz Khalifa next to me. It was a wild time in my life. And I had a great group of friends, was living at a really nice apartment complex. But deep down, which I was not showing to people, I was very depressed, and I was going through a really difficult time. And I chose to just hide behind that with alcohol and I would rather put on the Instagram highlight reel than show what I was really going through. And there's one night when I think of this time in my life, I'm a big bath guy. I love to take baths. And this one night I was in my bath, and I just remember like sobbing. I felt like a little kid. I felt like a failure. I felt like no matter what I tried to do later in my life, that I would not be able to accomplish anything. And that was a very, very tough time to go through. And I'm not going to lie, there was not much hope for me in my life. And I was always the type to keep my door unlocked for my roommates and my friends. And around this time, as you could imagine, my door was locked. I didn't want people to come in and see me like this. And I must have just drank too much one night and left my door unlocked, because this guy comes barging into my room, and he's saying, Brady, let's go to this run club. And it's a Saturday morning, maybe 7, 8 a.m., and I'm thinking to myself, I'm in my bed, it's warm, it's comfortable, I want to keep sleeping. Like, what are you talking about? I hate running, I don't want to go to this run club. But Taylor is one of the most convincing people I've ever met in my whole life, and so Taylor convinced me to show up to some run club, and I went. I went to this run club, and I'll never forget, on the way to the run club, the doubts and fears and thoughts that came into my head and insecurities. I thought, like, I'm not a runner. I'm not an athlete. What if I run weird at the club? What if What if I'm not even able to complete the miles that everyone is expecting me to complete? And I actually was able to run 3 miles that day, and I barely was able to do it, but I did it. And I remember afterwards thinking I could have still been I was still kind of hungover, but I still could have been hungover in bed, just complaining, and instead I was outdoors, I was meeting new people, and I was staying active, and it felt good. It felt really good. And, I could stand here and say that the next day I was like, I'm going to run across America, and my life was forever changed. It didn't happen that quick. But this guy, Luke, he got my phone number, and I had no idea what was in store for me because he got my phone number. He would text me every single week, and he would say, Brady, I hope to see you at Run Club on Saturday. And honestly, just the fact that he would text me in personalized messages, there was like maybe 50 people in this Run Club, and he would do this for every single person. And I remember just thinking to myself, he's going out of his way to text me and make sure I'm at Run Club. And, again, this is how I reacted. I'm going to be real with you. The first couple times, I would text him back and say, like, I'm sick today. I can't come to Run Club. Or, I don't know. Like, it was like the dog ate my homework. I was giving him, like, really bad excuses to why I couldn't go. And then I realized I'm letting Luke down, but I'm also letting myself down by not showing up to the Run Club. So, started to go to Run Club a lot more. Then on the Friday night before Run Club, I stopped drinking as much because I thought, well, if I'm not hungover, maybe I stand a better chance of actually showing up to the Run Club. And then I knew something was up when I started to run in between the Run Club meetings, because again, I was always someone who hated running, and that's when I was like, okay, like something's going on here. And being around this community, it was inspiring me to take one step, and I just kept taking these steps. And it led to me signing up for my first half marathon in Santa Monica, California. This was November of 2018. My dad showed up, and it was such an emotional day for me because until this day, I didn't familiarize myself with running lingo, like half marathon, marathon. I didn't even know the distances because I always thought, Brady, like, you're never going to be able to do something like that. But I did it, and the first realization I had after doing it was, I wonder what else I'm capable of. I wonder what else I can do. So I signed up for the Los Angeles Marathon, and a couple months later, I completed my first ever marathon. And again, the doubts and fears were still there. The insecurities were still there. But I kept taking the steps necessary to achieve these goals and these dreams. And then the big one, I decided I was going to run across the United States of America. And what do y'all think about that? What do you think about that? Just shout some words out. Come on. Oh, there we go. Finally. Okay, crazy. That is the one I heard every time. You're crazy. That's a crazy dream. This is crazy. Luckily, when I wrote it in my journal, I didn't share it with anyone for a full month. So I didn't know it was that crazy, I didn't know it was that crazy. And I broke it down. So anyone that knows me knows I have no sense of direction. Seriously. So that was actually probably one of my biggest fears and concerns about how I was going to do this. Luckily, there's a thing called Google Maps, and they have walking directions. So that helped me out. The sleeping photo there, I had to think, like, where am I going to sleep at night? So, I didn't want to just do this by myself and camp out. So I thought, I'm going to need an RV. So I decided I'm going to rent an RV. And then I thought, well, who's going to come with me? So this guy over here, Nate Heiser, he was one of my best college buddies. And I called him up. I said, will you come with me and help me across the country? And he said yes immediately. And that was before I even told him how much I was going to pay him. So I probably should have waited, and I could have saved some money, but I swear he would have done it for free. And then lastly, I needed a lot of shoes and socks. Again, I just broke it down to the simplest of steps, and I got started. A couple days before the run, I'm in New York City, and I pop into this bookstore, and I go to this one section, and I pick up a book that says How to Run Really Far. This is a true story. And I think to myself, while I pick up this book, I think to myself, whoa, like, can I actually do this? I'm like flipping through the pages, and all of a sudden, it's like, what am I thinking? This is crazy. Like, can I do this? And I finally closed the book because I did realize if I'm going to fail doing this, I'm going to fail doing this. I'm not going to fail thinking about this. This was the first day across America. I am in Keansburg, New Jersey, and there was maybe 2 fishermen on the beach who had no idea what I was doing. It was very anticlimactic, and I was pumping some Eminem pump-up music on the way to the beach, and then right when the run started, it was raining, and it was stormy, and immediately it set in, this is going to be a long, tough journey. 3 days in, I woke up feeling physically weak. So the next thing that happened was I was feeling mentally weak, totally spiraling. Luckily, this lady, Janice, she comped our meals for breakfast that morning. My spirits were lifted, and I just focused on the next step and got my run done for that day. Okay, look away if you don't like blood. I probably should have told you right before. But day 27, I'm in the RV, and my toenail was just hurting so bad. I had an ingrown toenail, and I ended up ripping it off. I know. I ripped it off, and the skin was attached. It was terrible. But that same day, I met this woman in the parking lot. She gave me the scarf that I'm wearing today. Her name was Rose. She was an immigrant from Italy, and she just had this light and glow about her. And honestly, she had a better attitude about what I was doing than I did. And I remember thinking, like a rose, there's thorns on our roses. And in this experience, which I signed up for, no one else forced me to run across America, there's going to be thorns, and I need to accept that. Now, there were a lot of thorns across the country. Hopefully no one here is from Arkansas. No, it's okay if you are. I almost tore my Achilles tendon in Arkansas, and it was so bad that this is one of my journal entries. I remember calling my dad, and right after, it was the first time I had cried in a long time, and, as you can tell here, I had almost ran 1,400 miles, and the trip could have been over just like that. And yeah, that was one of the toughest parts about running across the country. And I genuinely did not know if I would be able to finish or not. But I did what I could control, and in that moment, it was resting and icing. And for 2 days, I didn't run. And I was able to continue on with 40 days without a rest day. Okay, off to Oklahoma. So in Oklahoma, I'm sparing you the gross images. Again, I'm just trying to be vulnerable and real about the thorns of this experience. And this was a thorn. I went to the bathroom, and let's just say the urine was not the color it's supposed to be. We'll leave it at that. For 2 days straight, this went on. And I was urinating blood, and it was very scary mentally, and I didn't know if I should stop the run. I didn't know what to do. Was able to rely upon lots of resources and keep moving and take the next step. Made it to Texas. In Texas, I had such debilitating pain in my legs in Texas that the only time I wasn't feeling pain was when I was sleeping. And I was taking like the recommended, I think it's like maybe 6 pills of Advil or Tylenol a day. I was taking like 12. I was like, give me everything I can to relieve me of this pain. I put up this calendar in the RV because, again, I needed extra motivation and inspiration. So as you can tell, I'm still taking the next step, but the fear and doubts are still there. They were always there throughout the whole journey. And then finally, a big rose. I made it to San Diego, California. And I skirted past. This is my mom, dad, and my nephew Caleb. They were awaiting me on the beach. And it was such a special moment. And unlike the first day, there were a lot more people on the beach that day to cheer me on and support me. So, you all are on the left right now. You have your dream in your mind. I want you to think about it. You don't need to see exactly where that dream will take you or where you might go with it. For me, it was going to the run club. I had no idea that going to that run club would lead to me running across America. I just kept taking one step at a time. I want you to do one thing today to get the ball rolling towards your dream. Okay? One thing. Martin Luther King Jr. says, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. My journey led to me taking over 5 million steps. But it all started with one step. Thank you.